appreciation. It's wonderful hearing you. Enjoying that one. So I wrote this book called A Tale of Two Lovers, and it essentially started as a writing prompt, where it was two lovers, something, and they all became fairy tales, and this one's called Two Lovers Separate. On the day it happened, he stood on her front porch with a camera in hand, rang the doorbell, and waited for her to arrive. The light carrying his body leapt through her eyes and shattered a smile onto her face. She cried like a wave losing its grip on its own body, never happier or sadder, and in that moment, he took his picture. They held one another, the small hairs on their skin gnawing at the magnetism, fingers leaving indents in the clay. He whispered in her ear, "You know, I will never stop looking for you." She smiled, and they kissed. The man carried the picture of her wherever he went. For years, he wondered if that's what she would look like if they ever ran into one another again, but every time he pulled it from his pocket, it would fade slightly, or the corners would wither almost unnoticeably. The wind, the snow, the rain, the sun, each took turns erasing the image, but the man had to keep pulling it from his pocket. He had to see her face one last time, again, and again, and again. Eventually, the photograph fell apart, withered away like sawdust. All the man had left was his memory, but just like the photograph, it disintegrated with age, neurons unraveling thread by thread. He spent the rest of his life wondering how many times they had sat next to one another in a movie, how many subway rides they had stared at one another in opposite seats. He never stopped believing in probability, that the more times he didn't run into her, the more likely it was that he would see her again, that his luck would turn around and he'd fucking run right into that smile. Whatever it looked like. On his deathbed, he heard a voice, soft and gentle and familiar. He pried open his eyelids, waited until the fog of his vision cleared, and he saw a nurse he had never seen before. "What are you searching for?" she asked him. Finally, having received the answer to the question he clung to his entire life, he let his eyelids drag over his face, and his heart stopped beating. The woman only remembered the last thing he ever said to her. "I will never stop looking for you." Over the years, she repeated it to herself over and over again, especially when she was somewhere new and she was alone. Her friends bothered her, asked what she always whispered to herself as she stared at the horizon, and when they found out it was the words of her last lover, they set it upon themselves to find her someone new. But even the good dates were at best boring. The sound of their voices vibrated like just disingenuous and horny fingernails dragging across a chalkboard. When she didn't sleep with any of those concrete blocks of blonde hair and jawbone, the rumors started. Dirty, lesbian, none. Her friends grew tired, waiting for her to come around, told her, "If he was coming, why isn't he already here? He probably never even said that to you." She stopped talking to them, but their doubt haunted her, repeated in her mind year after year and blurred with the memory of his words. What did he say? She thought. I know that he meant it. Did he actually say, "I will never look for you," as a way of letting me go? Sometimes people would notice her lips moving, but no noise coming from her mouth called her crazy. But the phrase kept changing. "I always looked for you. I will look for you. I never looked for you. I never loved you." She would find herself shouting in public places, "No, no, that's not it. That's not it." She died in a straitjacket. No windows in the padded walls. Lost all traces of the original phrase. But she could still hear the tones and rhythms of his voice, resonating, wordless, like a symphony playing a dirge for everything she ever lost.